Rubio warned that CARICOM states continuing to engage in the program could face visa restrictions.
The medical and diagnostic center with these 60 persons. Without the Cubans there, I will not be able to offer that service.
I just came back from California, and if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
Jamaica has partnered with Cuba in healthcare since 1976. Just last week, Foreign Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith defended the program.
Given that the MOU had expired last year, the government of Jamaica had already begun a review process, even before any international concerns were raised. So while we have identified a few areas for alignment with our own overseas labor programs and how they are administered, we are confident that the Cuban program is a legitimate bilateral cooperation program, not an example of trafficking.
Rubio, a Cuban-American and vocal critic of the Cuban government, has maintained that the program exploits its workers for profit, a claim Cuba has rejected. This week's visit marks Rubio's first to Jamaica as Secretary of State, and he becomes the fourth U.S. Secretary of State to visit the island in the past 7 years. Rubio will continue on to Guyana and Suriname after his stop in Kingston. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Conflicts in school remains a hot topic, with more voices now joining the conversation. President of the Jamaica Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, Linvern Wright, says in the St. James High School matter, added intervention is necessary.
The fact is that as much as we're principals and we are in charge of schools, the ministry is in charge of us, the boards are in charge of us. And what must happen, things can happen. What matters is that we handle it in a manner that is professional and that is becoming of the kind of education that children deserve. And what really is taking place at St. James High is something that I think needs to be properly managed. A huge part of the problem, it seems, is that the board is going to remain, right? Principal is there, the board is there, the problems seem to remain because these are people at odds. I can't say whether principal is right or wrong at this point, given what has taken place, because I haven't got a chance to speak to my colleague. But what is certainly missing is a capacity to have some kind of stranglehold on the problem. And that is something that we need to ensure that is sorted out. But it is a deeply unfortunate situation that's taking place there.
Affordable housing is becoming more challenging for some Jamaicans, and the Prime Minister is encouraging more entrepreneurs to get involved in national development, not for profit, but for the greater good of the nation. Here's more. High prices and a lack of available land is putting a strain on the government's housing solutions. Many contractors cater to higher income earners, widening the housing gap.
The housing deficit is somewhere in the region of about 150,000 houses. You ask why prices are high for housing? That's because there is this very large deficit.
Pricing is not the only concern. Infrastructure is also making affordable housing unattainable.
Infrastructure is extremely expensive, and therefore it is the state that has to provide the infrastructure. Okay, let's say the state provided the infrastructure. The issue then becomes, can the income of the purchaser still afford the solution that is provided and categorized as low income and lower middle income or even achievable?
One of the major factors, he says, is a lack of entrepreneurial spirit.
One of the reasons why we have such weak growth over a long period of time is that we simply do not have enough entrepreneurs putting together projects, taking the risk, putting together the financing, mobilizing the resources, providing the employment, and at the end of the day, contributing something new to the landscape. And so for the entrepreneurs who are thinking about profit, that should really be secondary. Your passion should be, what can I do that will change the world, starting with my community.
It's why the Prime Minister is encouraging entrepreneurship and public-private partnerships to build houses in mass to fill the deficit.
The challenge is that we have some developers, their resources and their efforts are usually tied up in producing lower, middle, and upper. What we need to do is develop a cadre of housing developers who can focus on building low-income housing in mass. So instead of doing 1,000 or 2,000, we need 10,000 at a time.
The call follows the GOJ's plan to raise National Housing Trust NHT loan limits and provide more incentives for residential developers. The Jamaica Labour Party says it's looking to the future, addressing youth supporters on the importance of the party's successes. They say the People's National Party is bereft of new strategies and constantly draw on, quote, an old playbook.
Here we are, you have a party that wants state power and they can't even carry a message to convince the Jamaican people. They have to draw up a man who started politics in the 1960s before most of we born to carry the message of them party. It shows you that they are out of ideas and the Andrew Holness government knows what it's doing and is moving forward to securing that third term with the support of the Jamaican people. Because here we are thinking that such man will come forward with a new way, a new vision. Him can't carry it him up and call out PJ. Let me remind you on some of the things that PJ did to this country. When you look at inflation, when PJ Patterson was in power, all this time in office, the inflation cumulatively added up to about 2,000% labor rights. 2,000%. When you compare that with Andrew Holness's leadership, inflation added up to 61% in the years that Andrew has been in office.
Mario Dean's trial continues in the Westmoreland Circuit Court, and on Tuesday, a retired pathologist who performed the post-mortem examination on Dean's body took the witness stand and testified that the results showed that the victim was forcibly hit with a solid object or forcibly smashed against a wall. The pathologist, who testified via Zoom from his birth country in India, added that it was also observed that Dean suffocated before he died. According to the pathologist, he observed blood stains on the inner section of Dean's right ear. His eyes were red, and his lips and the base of his fingernails were discolored. This, he said, was the result of a lack of oxygen before Dean died. But we're shifting gears now. Local film production group Women in Film and Television Jamaica WIFT-JA are setting the stage with their Screenwriting Accelerator program to empower local screenwriters and filmmakers. Filmmaker and screenwriter and director of WIFT-JA, Natasha Griffith, spoke on Sunrise this morning, explaining what the group is about and their plans to improve the field.
WIFT-JA is a local non-profit organization that's a chapter in a international body, a thriving international body. And one of our primary mandates is to engage our members in opportunities to connect globally. So we increase our global visibility and we give them opportunities to become educated through various projects, events, and initiatives, such as the Screenwriting Accelerator program, where they build capacity. The Screenwriting Accelerator program that we're calling SAP for short is a film development initiative that is supported through funding from the UNESCO Participation Program for 2025-26. And this initiative gives or provides for WIFT-JA members who are emerging or early career screenwriters. It provides them with training, with support, with mentorship for this early stage but crucial stage of story development in the overall process of film development. And so it's going to take participants through this very intense process of honing or sharpening their screenwriting skills, but also learning about the industry overall. How it works is that we invite people to submit feature screenplays or a treatment for a feature screenplay with the first 30 pages of that screenplay. Those screenplays go through a screening process, and then 4 screenplays or 4 projects are chosen to advance through the program, which spans several months.
News at Noon continues after this break.
For loan payments every month, take a debt consolidation loan from AIM to pay credit card bills and all other high interest rate loans from other institutions. Make one low monthly payment to AIM and take home some extra money in your pocket. That's financial freedom. One loan, one low payment, more money in your pocket. Call AIM today to lower your loan payment. And remember, you won't find a better deal elsewhere. Guaranteed.
The Time is brought to you by Ford Territory.
Need to pass your CSEC CAPE exams to get that dream job or to qualify for university? Then Distinction College is the school for you. We have locations in Kingston, Spanish Town, St. Elizabeth and Ocho Rios. Start day, evening and Saturday classes this coming term and sit CSEC CAPE exams for January's resit or May, June. Maths, law, science, English. We have the lowest school fees. Register before the end of the month and win an entire term free. Call us at 354-8560.
The governing Jamaica Labour Party, welcome back. The governing Jamaica Labour Party is warning that the opposition's latest policy proposals could derail Jamaica's hard-won economic progress. Finance Minister Favour Williams delivered a spirited defense of the government's fiscal stance during her closing presentation in the 2025-26 budget debate. Ramon Gordon reports.
The governing Jamaica Labour Party says the opposition's latest policy proposals would trigger a financial crisis if they were implemented this fiscal year.
Allow me, Madam Speaker, to demonstrate that the promises from the opposition would create FinSAC 2.0.
The party likens the risk to that of the late 1990s, when thousands of Jamaicans lost homes, businesses and livelihoods.
We did not present an implied budget for the coming fiscal year. We presented our proposals, our policy commitments for the next PNP government, and we have never said that they will be implemented in the current fiscal year. They are.
Is a budget debate. And anything you put forward has fiscal implications.
The minister contends the opposition's plan, particularly one for free school meals, could derail fiscal progress.
The opposition promised a daily lunch meal at primary and secondary for all children who need it. Madam Speaker, the government currently spends $9 billion for 200,000 children to get a breakfast snack and/or a midday meal. So it sounds like the opposition would want to at least double this to 400,000 children.
Favour Williams delivered her first closing budget presentation as finance minister with the confidence of a government touting economic resilience. It's why the minister also announced plans to remove GCT from raw food imports, seeking greater compliance with world trade obligations.
The UK and the EU asked that we correct all measures inconsistent with our WTO obligations, and this happened in 2024.
But the opposition says the timing is dangerous. Spokesperson Anthony Hilton argues the global trade environment is unstable and removing GCT now puts local farmers at risk. Notwithstanding that reservation, the government also announced relief for money runners.
Madam Speaker, in an effort to facilitate investment in assets that are purpose-built for the transportation of cash and other values, the government has taken the decision to remove the GCT and SCT from armored vehicles and the added cost of armoring a vehicle.
The announcement follows a string of high-profile robberies from 2022 to 2023.